Okay, so you've got some understanding of scales. And then the next building block in music theory is harmony and chords. Now, you already watched the video on the building blocks of scales, and those building blocks of scales are directly related to building harmonies and chords. And we're going to just kind of reiterate that and go through that and address that, so that you can understand that the building blocks are the same. To actually, the only thing difference between building chords, harmonies, and scales is that when you're working with a scale, you're working with one note at a time. And, to build a structure that is a scale, but none of them are being played together. When you're talking about harmonies, that you're talking about, the first basic harmony is two notes together. Like, let's say you're starting with the root and the minor third. Now, when you play those together, you've got a minor third harmony with your root, or a fourth and a root. So you have the fourth in the root, or you've got the sixth in the root, or you've got the second in the root, or the minor second in the root, or the minor seventh in the root. Any of those things, those are all harmonies. Now, that's the most basic concept of harmonies, because you understand that you have a root to work with, and you have some other interval that is going to be being played with that root note, and you have created a basic, simple harmony. And it's that simple. It's not any more complicated than that. The basic building blocks of harmony are that simple. Now, as it gets more complicated into more complex harmonies, let's take a major chord, a major C chord, which is going to be a root, a major third, and a fifth. So you've got those three intervals that are going to produce a major C chord and a harmony. So now you've moved beyond basic harmonies of two notes, and you've moved into more of a chordal structure. Now you have more than two notes, then it starts to become a more complex harmony. And harmonies can be as complex as you want. I mean, heck, you can hit all 12 tones. I don't know. If that's what you are working on for something, I don't know. But, most of the time not, so let's not get too stupid. But, that is the basic components. So now you have two notes that are a harmony. You've got more than two notes that are starting to form a chordal structure, which is going to be a major chord would be C, a third, and a fifth. A minor C chord would be a C, a minor third, and the fourth or the fifth, and you have a minor chord and a major chord, and you've just created a chord. So it's the concept of it, and the building blocks are the same, and the only difference between them is that you are actually using the notes at the same time to cause harmony or chordal structures. And it's not any more difficult than that. And the basic structures of that are the same as building scales. Root, minor second interval, minor third interval, fourth interval, minor fifth interval, minor sixth interval, minor seventh interval. And then you go back to the root, but you've got you're using the root and an octave up or an octave down, however you want to look at it, is moving beyond the basic chordal structures, because you want to work within the 12 tones that you have to build harmonies or chordal structures. And any of them can work. Some of them, they are looked at consonant or dissonant, meaning that people like the way they sound or they don't like the way they sound. And I try to keep all that theory stuff real simple, so that it doesn't get confusing, because I've heard all kinds of music where I'll just go, that sounds like crap, and it's like, but, kids like it, or somebody likes it, because, jazz can be one of those things that I've heard some jazz stuff that it'll be like that harmony structure and the way they just, changed from one chord to another in the chordal structure. It doesn't sound good to me. It sounds like crap. But, it's mathematically put together very well. I mean, and the guys playing in the band are doing a good job, and they're dead on, So, that doesn't necessarily mean that the music sounds good, or that the harmony sounds good, or the chord that you've built sounds good. That's going to depend on your ear, and if you think it sounds good, and nobody can tell you whether you think it sounds good or not, that's, just a fact. So, that is the basics, and it's the same building blocks with the steps, whole steps and half steps, and the intervals are your basic building blocks for your harmonies and your chordal structures. When I say chordal structures, I'm not trying to be, all, that. It's, more than two notes. You've got a harmony that's two notes, at least two notes, a harmony. Now you have a harmony. Anything more than two notes starts becoming some type of a chordal structure. Basic chords will have three notes in them. So, and then you get into anything more than three notes becomes a more complex chordal structure. And it's that simple. Try to keep it that simple in your head and try to relate the basic building blocks, the same as building the scales, are the same building blocks for building your harmonies and for building your chordal structures. No matter how complex they are or how simple they all are harmonies. No matter if it's two notes together or all 12 notes together, that's some type of harmony. Whether you like it or not is beside the point. That if they're together, that is some type of chordal structure and a harmony. And it's that simple. Don't make it any more complicated than that. So you basically, one of the things that, building that and constructing that, you're definitely going to want to get on your keyboard and practice playing those intervals together. Pick a root and practice playing those different intervals and the different step differences together with that first interval, and that's you're messing around with harmony, and understanding it. But that's the basic concept, and it works the same when you pull out MuseScore. When you're messing around here, you go in that C and that D, that second interval, and the first interval, that harmony, or the C, the E, and the A, that chordal structure, that you put it on there, you're understanding the root and the fourth, or the root and the third, or the root and the minor third, and kind of see how that looks when you're messing around in MuseScore and constructing some chords. But the basic building blocks are the same. There is no difference. There's all kinds of theory that we get into later, but we're trying to address real basics to understand basic music theory and basic constructs so that you can build more complex things. Music can be so complex it's not even funny, but if you understand it from the most basic components and structures and building blocks, it'll make it much easier when you start getting into much more complex ideas. So I hope that was very easy to understand, and to understand that the harmony building blocks and the chordal building blocks that are more complex harmonies are the same building blocks that you were dealing with building a scale. So we're going to go ahead and build some harmonies and some chords. Peace, hope, love.